I'm really happy Sony Evo Evolution Tournament actually still considers Third Strike to be one of the best games. I'm a little off. I have not played in a little while, so I think it could have gave me a little bit more time to evaluate the situation. I feel like I just kind of countered him, and like right there, look at that. I got it in time. Oh my god. He just tossed me. Oh my god, dude, my controller's drifting right now. And it's because I dropped it a few times, so I guess it's affecting like Oh my god, I didn't want that. Nice target though. I try to get to the other side. I feel like there should be enough time to do that, but that would have traded, I think, unless it was EX. I knew he was gonna go for that. You gotta be careful because if you parry like normals that can combo into it, like off of a special normal into special move, if you parry the first hit or super as well, if you parry the first hit, they're still able to counter you before you can counter them. Like if like for example, if if they do like crouching medium punch into uppercut, and I parry the first medium punch, if I try to do any normal after that, their uppercut is gonna beat me if they've already committed to doing it. So basically, in other words, like for players that like to parry a lot, like it's a good way to throw off their parry timing. You know what I'm saying? It's just that high level players like me, like, already assume that you're probably going to combo into something even better than just a normal. Like, for example, like with Ryu, you do like, instead of just doing crouching medium kick, they parry that. You do crouching medium kick into uppercut. So now they have to, guaranteed, they have to parry 2 hits or parry the first hit and block the second hit and counter you. So, like, the intelligent thing to do, if, is... But no, there are exceptions to the rule. Don't think there isn't. Like, if I do, like, let's say I do crouching medium kick into like regular uppercut, I believe if he parries that crouching medium kick, he can EX uppercut me, he could super me, and it'll beat his. Depending on, like, it's very situational though. Like, I don't want to just be like, oh, just do this and this works. Like, depending on the super, depending on the special move. Like, this is something that really only applies to like the better characters in the game, the Shotos. Like, if you don't know what Shotos are in this game, that's like the name of the fighting style, the imaginary, the fictitious, is it fictitious? I don't know. Fictional fighting style that Ryu and Ken, and they also consider Akuma, to use. So, like, basically, they're just called Shotos. Like Ken, Ryu, Akuma is considered Shotos. They don't consider Sagat a Shoto or Dudley a Shoto, even though they kind of have a very similar playstyle. I feel like Sagat is damn near. He's like, even though he isn't, he kind of is. Oh my god, I'm getting. There's also another thing I wish they would change in these older games. Well, obviously it only really kind of applies to Third Strike because it was the first time that you could choose a different super at the beginning of the match. I wish they would change it so that in arcade mode, you could change the super you pick depending on the opponent that you're about to play. Like, for example, like the reason I say that is because with Ryu, I do believe that Super Art 1 in Third Strike is his best super because it just gives him so much more meter, and Ryu with meter is actually viable. I know that being the best Ryu player in Third Strike of all time, no doubt about it. There's never been a Ryu player better in Third Strike, or Elena or Sean. I'm about to claim the 12 spot as well, the sperm cell. I call him sperm cell. I don't think there's ever been one better than mine either. You know what I'm saying? But as one of the best Ryu players, I also played Ken. I'm not gonna lie, in Third Strike. I personally preferred to play Ryu. I always stayed true to my character. My original choice was always Ryu, ever since I was a little kid, and I just stuck with Ryu the whole time. Like, so like if I was playing Alpha, it was Ryu. If I was playing Third Strike, Ryu. Like a lot of the high-level Japanese players, they switch from Ryu. Like Daigo Umehara, he switched from Ryu to Ken in Third Strike. As you can see in Street Fighter 4, he went back to Ryu, and then he switched to Yoon when Yoon was the best character in the game. And then, the point I'm trying to make is that as someone that has a lot of experience and playing ranked and just dominating in Third Strike, you know what I'm saying? And just dominating in Street Fighter generally, you know what I'm saying? Like ever since it was first released on Hyper Fighter, I was even playing before that on PC. Like they had like these fake Marvel vs. Capcom websites where you could like play with a keyboard and shit. And I was trying to do that, but like I was getting my ass whooped by these like players that either were amazing on keyboard. I don't know how they were so good playing Marvel vs. Capcom on keyboard and mouse. But I was under the impression that they figured out a way to connect a controller, but I never figured out, so I just kind of stopped playing altogether. But when they released Hyper Fighting for Xbox 360, I like instantly fell in love with the game and franchise again. I was already playing the game on PlayStation 2, like basically against the computer by myself. Like that was my only competition, was just proving, I could beat Super Turbo without wasting any continues. And I have with Ryu. I'm not gonna sit here. I'm trying to do it with E Honda now, but like I'm still unsuccessful. I'm trying. I have beaten the arcade mode. I just want to beat it without using a continue. And I think if you get like 2 or 3 perfects, you fight Akuma at the end instead of M. Bison, which is also what I'm trying to do. I've only done that with Ryu, and he's hard as shit in the end. He's way harder than M. Bison. No, the reason I say that is because each matchup is different. The circumstances changing depending on your opponent. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though I do agree that Ryu's Super Art 1 does make him overall a way better character, his EX Fireball pressure is it's very... I think it's even better than Denjin. Obviously Denjin does full stun, but you see it coming from a mile away. The reason I say that is like if you throw EX Fireball at your opponent, they almost guarantee that they have to block that. There's a few exceptions. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some supers that just completely beat it all out. Like Chun-Li's super, if it's done correctly, it'll go right through EX Fireball and all that. What I mean by that is like if you do it correctly, they won't be able to counter you, but you put them in a negative state, basically, like where you'll be able to pressure them before they can pressure you, basically. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, I do agree that it does make him a way better character. But when I was actually playing high-level ranked matches for Third Strike and basically dominating the top 10 players, I was wiping my ass with the number 7 Yoon player of the entire leaderboards. I believe he only beat me one time out of all the times I wiped my ass with him, and that was only because I second-guessed my decision at the very end. The game was on the line, third rounds. I knew exactly what to do. I second guessed my decision, and I ended up losing. But had I gone with my original decision, I would have actually ended up winning the match. But I basically wiped my ass with him every time I ran into him. I mean, I just dominated him. The other top 3 Ken player on ranked for PlayStation 3. I was also playing on 360, dominating top 10 Urian players with Sean. So, but to make a long story short, you know what I'm saying? Like I still consider myself an online warrior. You know, and for Street Fighter V, I honestly felt like that was the most I honestly wanted to go and compete in person and try to win. I honestly felt I did have what it takes to win. They just started changing the game so much and trying to help out players that really don't deserve to win with all this V shift and V reversal. I thought it really ruined the game. You know what I'm saying? I thought it took away from what makes this game so good. You know what I'm saying? I really did want to compete, and I did call out that Sakura was the best character in the game, and she did end up winning Evolution Japan. I did call out Blanca was the best character in Street Fighter 6, and Meta RD ended up winning the tournament in Florida with Blanca and Luke. I did call out Luke was one of the best characters as well. I do think Luke's combo game is just ridiculous. I think they should tone it down a little bit. I think once he commits to doing like a charge punch and you block it, he should not be able to go into V trigger after that. What is it? Not V trigger. Drive impacts. You know what I'm saying? I think he should have to commit to I kind of understand why they do it. They're like, oh, it takes so long to come out. You know what I'm saying? I think his combo game is just too good. That's one of the reasons I thought he was one of the best characters in the game. You know, when Sagat first came out in Street Fighter V, I called that he was the best character in the game. He dominated the Rashid player. I forget his name, but the Sagat player from Japan, the best Sagat player, I forget his name, the one that Snake Eyes beat. He dominated the Rashid player and won. I called it that year. I knew Sagat was the best character in the game. Sakura came out. I knew she was the best character in the game. She ended up winning in Street Fighter V. I've been calling it. You know, no one really pays attention to what I'm saying, but everything I'm saying is coming out and coming to be true, that they are the best characters in the game. So that's how you know where my experience is at when it comes to fighting games. So but you know what I'm saying? When the reason I said that is because when you play Yoon, Yang, and Akuma, and Makoto also kind of has a dive kick, it's really not that good. I wouldn't even really consider it a dive kick. It's just kind of like some air special kick. Those are really, Remy has kind of a dive kick. Not really, though. I was the only Remy player using it as an anti-projectile tool against Ryu players and Akuma players, because you could basically hard kick, special kick, what's it called? Down back hard kick. If you time it correctly, it'll go right over Ryu's fireball in a fireball war. And his, Remy's low projectile goes right under it. So it basically counters him clean, full screen. So Remy is, I think, one of Ryu's hardest matchups based off of that alone. Because he puts you in you have to parry, you have to use those EX fireballs precisely to get that hard knockdown, and then you got to pressure him, basically, and try to pressure him the rest of the rounds, because if not, he starts up with the Sonic Boom, what is it called? Charge partitioning. It's more I think it's more like a buffer, kind of. I don't think it's charge partitioning. It's actually charge buffering. I might be wrong about that. Charge partitioning is like when you split up the charge into little portions. You know what I'm saying? Like you do down back for a quarter second, walk forward, do down back again, and now you have the charge. So that's the one unique thing about Third Strike is that charge characters can walk forward for the first time in Street Fighter history and still maintain their down back charge. So that's what makes them so threatening. They're huge threats, and the reason a lot of players don't never really gave there's a few Remy players. I believe he's from France. Pierre, I think he's from France. He's like considered one of the best Remy players of all time. He almost beat the best Urian player from Japan, RX. It almost like dominated him, like completely dominated him. Had he, the thing is, I think if the RX player from Japan, if he would have chose the shoulder tackle super instead of the Aegis reflector wall, he would have actually probably gone through a lot of his projectile pressure, Remy's projectile pressure with the charge. I don't know. I guess you could call it buffering. I guess it's buffering. I don't know. It's just, when you have your projectile, there's like a little trick, basically to do it, to make it come out more precise. And that's basically, you press the attack button to throw the projectile at the very moment you're already basically charging back again. So if you do that at the brief moment right before you start charging back again, the projectile still comes out and you get additional charge time. So that's really what those high-level Remy players are doing. And those high-level Urian players are doing, where you see them do like 3 shoulder tackles, 4 shoulder tackles in one combo and keep juggling their opponent, bam, 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 and just over and over again. That's really what they're doing. They're doing the special move, but they're not pressing the attack button that activates the special move until they're basically already charging back again. Like that brief moment before you actually activate back, they're doing it right at that moment because it still registers. So what really happens is you're getting the attack to come out, but you're also getting the game to register that you're charging way before, like almost during the startup of a charge move that you already did. And this kind of pertains, the reason why this is important is the same reason it's important for Balrog players and Street Fighter Super Turbo, is that when you're doing down, charging down back to up back, and you press punch, you're getting his very powerful anti-air, probably the best anti-air in the game, next to after Ryu and Ken and characters like that. I mean, he literally dominates every other character in the game with that. And it goes through fireballs as well. So Ryu and Ken, the only character that doesn't really, that he has a harder time against pressuring is like Guile, who recovers way faster than Ryu and Ken. Chun-Li, characters like that, where you can actually get them to do the headbutt and counter them because they see the projectile, but you're able to counter them for trying to counter you. So the reason I say that is like a lot of players, they'll go down back with Balrog and then go up forward with Balrog, thinking like they have to go towards their opponent to get the move to come out in that direction. That's not the way you should do it. The reason I say that is because the way you should do it is down back to up back forward. Up back is considered a forward. I mean, up back, not a forward. Down back to up back is considered a up. Whether you press up forward, up, or up back, it still registers as you did the anti-air charge move. This works for Guile. This works for Balrog. It works for any character that has a charge move like that. The reason it particularly works very good with Balrog is, especially if he has super, you know what I'm saying? You can go down back to up back, go through Ryu's fireball, and super them before they could do anything else. Basically, like the next action. So like what I mean by that is a Balrog will go through Ryu's fireball, right? And then a Ryu player will go, okay, he made his move right there. I could do crouching medium kick. If you do that crouching medium kick after he does a light punch, down back, up back, and he has super, you will eat a super and basically almost lose the rounds. So, like, it looks, unless you counter him before he hits the grounds, on block, it's very hard to counter that. The best way I saw to do it is just to walk up and grab them. That's the you know what I'm saying? I find more success with doing that than doing anything else because it just takes too much time to do like a dragon punch counter. If you get a good read though, on your opponent, like let's say you do jumping hard kick and he you try to pressure, he tries to do a fireball, you safe block it, safe empty jump it or something like that. You could counter him with like super or whatever. I'm not saying that like, oh, Balrog's headbutt is like the God's gift to Street Fighter, but it's like, obviously it doesn't really work as good anymore, but I'm talking about an older game. But the reason I say that is in arcade mode, I have to with Ryu. I forgot to explain why that's important. When you go down back to up back, you still are charging back. So you still have access to all your back forward special moves. So Balrog can still go back to down back, light punch, and do a low sweep. In Super Turbo, he doesn't have an overhead punch, but he does have a back forward kick, and that does a high uppercut. If your opponent is crouch blocking, which they almost always are, the reason why this is so effective is, the thing is, at the highest level, when a player sees a Balrog go for a high uppercut, they're going to assume that that's a grab pressure. So honestly, in my opinion, I don't honestly even recommend doing that. You saw players like Daigo Umehara from Japan doing that to players and getting away with it. A real good high-level player is going to assume that they're going for grab. So, like, basically, first of all, that's easy to counter anyway. All his charge punches in that game are very easy to counter. You could, on reaction, do crouching light kick and basically stop all of his pressure game. The only thing that will stop that is his uppercut. But he has to really commit to countering. Obviously, he's going to use his hard punch uppercut. Obviously, he's going to use his hard punch uppercut because it has more range. Similar to kind of Birdie in Street Fighter V, where he had, if you hold any punch button down, depending on which one, you'll have a different range. It'll go through fireballs just like Balrog's headbutt goes through fireballs. In fact, I feel like it's easier because you can actually walk forward and do it at any time. You know what I'm saying? The reason I say that is because, like, I'm playing arcade mode right now in Third Strike. I pick Shinku Hadouken. Shinku Hadouken. And I have to basically pick that the rest of the game. Like, when I play Akuma, I would rather pick Shin Shoryuken. The reason I say that, and against Yoon and Yang, I was the only Ryu player and Ken player switching to Shin Ryuken against Yoon, Yang, and Akuma. The reason I say that is because high-level Yoon and Yang players, especially, and Akuma players, they like to dive kick their opponent, and basically he's safe on block after that. That doesn't mean that it's safe because you can still anti-air him, which you should do on reaction. You should do that. But if he does land a dive kick, he's basically safe on block. It doesn't mean that, he'll win the next situation. It's very situational after that. The game becomes neutral all over again. So it's depending on both opponents' next move, what determines what will happen. So safe on block just means it's back to zero again. No one has the advantage. In my opinion, I honestly think even though no one truly has an advantage in that situation, I still feel Akuma does have the advantage in that situation because now he's within uppercut range. Now he's within spin kick range. Now he's within overhead range. So you really have to be careful, especially if he has, obviously if he goes for raw forward overhead, you can beat that. You could beat that. In fact, if he does go for raw overhead, you should try to counter that. The reason I say that, I know that sounds real stupid, but the reason I say that is because if he has full max super, he can actually go forward overhead, but this is only like the best Akuma players can actually pull this off. They're usually joystick players. I've tried my hardest to, first of all, it should not even be allowed. It should be banned entirely. They should patch that. It's completely unfair for him to do that. Basically, the reason I say that is because he'll go forward overhead, so you'll think, okay, let me block high. Guess what happens if you block high? If you block high or block low, if he has max super and they do the Kara Raging Demon, that basically means that at the startup of the forward medium punch, he's going to input the Raging Demon, which is light punch, light punch, light kick, forward hard punch. Am I wrong about that? Don't quote me on that. I forget exactly what the input is. I'm not a true Akuma player, and I've never been able to actually successfully do this on joystick. I mean, on controller. I know it's possible, but basically what happens is it greatly. First of all, the overhead never comes out, and it basically it instantly puts him on a grab. So basically, if you know how to do this, it's very hard to do unless you play joystick. I don't see you being able to do this, so don't even bother learning because it's that hard to do. But basically, it turns his forward overhead into a command grab because his Raging Demon is a grab and it goes through projectiles if it's done correctly. Don't quote me on that. I know it did in Street Fighter 4. I don't know about Third Strike. But basically, the forward overhead turns into a command grab that takes away like half your health bar. So what I recommend doing, because it's a very difficult situation to kind of predict if he's going to go for a Raging Demon overhead, what I recommend you do is jump out of the way. Even if you see him doing overhead, jump out of the way. Jump back, jump forward. Do any type of jumping attack. Do any jump to avoid it. Because what's going to happen is you're going to get countered by the overhead if he goes by overhead. That's not going to do that much damage. So if he goes for overhead, right? If he goes for overhead, jump away. You're going to see the overhead coming. But if you sit there and wait and block high, you're going to get command grabbed by his Kara Raging Demon, Kara, K-A-R-A. If you don't believe me, you could look it up on YouTube. There's a lot of characters that have Kara grab. Every character in Street Fighter Third Strike has a Kara grab. The only character that had that in Street Fighter 4 was Ken. That was one of the reasons Ken was such a monster in Street Fighter 4. In fact, I felt that they should have patched that and taken that out. It's really not fair. If you guys don't know, it greatly increases your grab range. So from normally being able to grab within 2 crouching light kicks, now you're able to grab within 4. You're able to grab within crouching medium kick range now. Now you're able to grab characters and go for a grab where only Zangief, Seth, T-Hawk had ability to grab in that situation, in that range. You know what I'm saying? You're basically able to grab way further than you normally would be able to without it. So they call that Kara. It's K-A-R-A. If you don't believe me, you could look it up on YouTube. There's plenty of players doing it. Ken had Kara double DPs on Ken mirror match. I've only successfully done this, a few times. It's very difficult to do on joystick. I mean on controller. It's way easier to do on joystick. but I don't play joysticks, so that's something that you really got to look out for with Akuma players, because a lot of players see the overhead and they go, "Oh, I'll just block that high." If he has full meter maxed out, if Akuma has maxed out meter, you're gonna want to jump away from that. Because if you do not jump away from that, you're going to get grabbed by his Raging Demon. You cannot escape it. Put it like this, if at the moment you go, oh, he's going to do overhead, if you already thought that he's going to do overhead and you recognize it and you're not jumping away, you're going to get grabs. And it's so unfair. So that's why I'm telling the players, just jump back, jump forward, do anything that jumps, because the Raging Demon only could grab you on the ground. If you jump in the air, it'll avoid it altogether. And in fact, if you jump in the right direction, which should be away from your opponent, you can actually counter them on the way down. That's why I say always jump back during that situation, because during the time of the Raging Demon, you're going to be able to counter him before he counters you. So you're going to be able to counter the recovery of his Raging Demon setup. You know what I'm saying? Because it really is only a setup. If you're aware and you know about it, you can already preemptively, go, okay, I'll take my chances getting hit by the overhead. If it hits me on the way back, jumping back, and if it does, you'll be able to jump the Raging Demon. You get what I'm saying? Like, the overhead should never even come out to attack, is what I'm saying. It'll look like it's about to hit you, but they'll cancel the startup of the overhead with the Raging Demon input. So what they're doing is, after they activate the forward medium punch overhead with Akuma, before it actually hits and is active, they're inputting light punch, light kick, forward hard punch. In that brief moment, it's very fast. That's why I say I feel like only joystick players can really pull this off. That's why I was unable, as a Third Strike player, to ever pull this off. But basically what I'm saying is, you really don't have to worry about the overhead. What I'm saying is, because it never actually hits, because they're canceling they're canceling the startup of it with the input of the Raging Demon, which, it basically becomes the new. The overhead never comes out and hits you. What comes out is the Raging Demon. So you really don't even have to worry about an overhead. I'm wrong for saying that. But what I'm saying is, when you see Akuma players go for overhead when they have max super, you're going to want to jump back. Because what's going to happen is, okay, let's say they mess up and they go for overhead. Let's say they do mess up, they don't get the Raging Demon to come out, but the overhead comes out. You're already jumping back. Worst case scenario, you get hit by the overhead. Which I feel you should not, because by the time you jump back, the overhead won't even be there. But if the Raging Demon doesn't come out, you're both basically safe on block again. Safe. So the game essentially goes right back to neutral all over again. But you avoid getting put in a situation that will take basically half your health bar. These are very high-level tactics that players at the highest level use, and if you're unaware of it, you are going to lose the round. You know what I'm saying? So this is the difference between winning and losing against a high-level Akuma player. Believe me, I've been there. This is why I say it, because no one ever taught me this shit. No one ever said, oh, you got to worry about Akuma's Raging Demon and Kara Raging Demon and Third Strike. They never said that. They kept that to themselves so that when they go to the tournament, they have a better chance of winning. I'm saying it should have never been in the game, and everyone should know about it. That way, Akuma players that don't deserve to win don't win. Because that's a very cheap tactic that should not even be in the game in the first place. Catching Dudley with Shin Shoryuken with Ryu after you catch him with a forward throw, which is an actual thing. I don't know if they patched it for Third Strike Online Edition, but if you catch Dudley with a forward throw with Ryu using Super R2, put it like this. If you see someone pick Dudley in Third Strike and you're not picking Ryu Shinsho Ryuken, you're an idiot. Because if you land a forward throw, which you almost certainly will in Third Strike, if you have your super bar filled, instantly after the throw, do Shinsho Ryuken, and it combos after a throw. And that's guaranteed half his health bar. And if you think players do not do this at the highest level to win in tournaments, you're crazy. If you think high-level Ryu players are not keeping this knowledge in the back of their head, oh, you're a Dudley player? Shinsho Ryuken Ryu, bye-bye. I win round 3 now. Round 3 is mine now, bye-bye. If you think players are not doing this shit at the highest level, you're out of your mind. You know what I'm saying? But like I was saying, like when you play Third Strike online, I mean, I was I'm talking about, this is 10 years ago when I was dominating and I mean, I have never stopped playing Street Fighter. I've been dominating in all the versions of the game. You know, ever since Hyper Fighting came out, even before that, I knew about GGPO. And if I'm not mistaken, I think Damn Dai, one of the best Ken players of all time, best American Ken player of all time. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. He's one of the best fighting game players, American fighting game players of all time. No one ever mentions him as like, everyone always mentions like all these other players. They never mention Damn Dai though. But like Damn Dai to me is like one of the scariest players out there. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, am I too worried? Like, I'm not worried about any player, but I say when I hear Damn Dai, I'm like, okay, I know I'm in for a brawl right now. I know I'm in for a scrap with a real good Ken player. You know what I'm saying? I know this is going to be a real battle. You know what I'm saying? I know this is going to be a real battle to, like, the end of round 2. Usually for all my opponents, it's usually a round 2 type of thing. With Damn Dai, I'm like, okay, he might push me to a round 3. I'm like Oro in this shit. Damn Dai might make me use my other arm now. He's like Ryu, and he's the only guy that's going to make me use my other arm, finally. Finally, there's a player that might make me use my other arm. I'm not even certain of it. I'm just that good. He's like the only reason I'm practicing with him is that he gets good enough to finally make me use my other arm. Because I'm beating these guys one-handed. I might as well put a blindfold on. And that goes from the best of Japan, the best of the United States, the best of Kuwait, the best of fucking South Central America. That's easy. That's easy. Those are easy wins there. Those are easy wins there. I might as well put a blindfold on. I might as well put a blindfold on. You know what I'm saying? Snake Eyes knows all about me. Snake Eyes knows all about me. You know what I'm saying? Snake Eyes knows all about me. The reason he started picking Zangief in the first place was because of me. And now look, everyone's saying he's the best Zangief player of all time in the United States. Even though in a mirror match, I would beat him with my Zangief. Even though I don't even play Zangief. In fact, I'm almost positive I've already done it. Several times. But I'm not going to deny it. Is he one of the best, Zangief players of all time? Am I going to deny that? No, I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to deny that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to deny that. Is he one of the best Zangief players in the United States? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? He plays to win. And that's what I like about him. He plays to win. That's the same mentality I got. The only difference is when I play to win, I'm using characters that, against Zangief, you see me in Street Fighter 6, I'm using, what's the black bitch's name? The nigga bitch? What's her name? I don't even know who the hell she is. What's her name? I forget what the nigga bitch's name is. I don't even know who the fuck I'm picking anymore. You know what I'm saying? but basically, to make a long story short, you know, in Third Strike, like I'm about to play, you know, well, okay, I'm playing Makoto. Okay. Um. Oh man. Yeah, like I said, I wish like in arcade mode I could switch supers. You know, when I play Akuma, I've beaten plenty of Akuma players. Plenty of also another good character to counterpick Akuma is Dudley and Yoon and Yang. The reason I say that is because if you know they've already committed to dive kick, on reaction, you could do cross counter. And if you guys don't know what cross counter is, I believe it's the half circle back punch. And you can also do EX and it'll hit twice. What happens is that when Dudley activates that, any jumping attack or high attack that hits him, he's going to, I believe he does take a little damage, but the damage that he gives you, I don't know if he takes damage, but I know that the damage he gives you back is far superior. So what I'm saying is, I did this to a lot of high-level Akuma players, Yoon players, Yang players. They would do dive kick. I would activate the cross counter. Easy counter. You could do this on reaction. Easy counter. Counters their dive kick. Counters them for about 25%. 20%, 25%. And it gives you the advantage. And what I mean by that is, after that, Dudley is able to throw his taunt, which actually makes him a better character. He throws the Rose projectile, which they have to respect on block. They have to respect that with the exception of if they have super, but that also depends on what super they're using, what character they're using, because what I mean by that is they can activate super and still get hit by the Rose and hit out of the super. Like, for example, Ken, if you throw the Rose at Ken's Super R3, not his Super R2, his Super R2 will beat it, and the Rose. I know this because I've done this to a lot of Dudley players who thought they were the shit. In high-level Third Strike. So no one could test my talent in Street Fighter. No one could test my talent. You know, I'm not even going to sit here and act like I'm a long-time high-level Mortal Kombat player. I only recently started getting into high-level Mortal Kombat in Mortal Kombat 11. I did play Mortal Kombat 9, and I did actually get that. I was so into Street Fighter back then that when I realized, like, Mortal Kombat is all about combo strings like Tekken, I kind of was like, I started way too late in Mortal Kombat 9. There's no way I could catch up to these other players. There's no way I could really compete and move up the ranks like I always, like, really wanted to. So, like, basically I didn't put the time into it, but Mortal Kombat 11 with Scorpion, I felt like it was the way it should be. And I started understanding. I started, like, dominating, basically. I still think I'm the best Scorpion player of Mortal Kombat 11 all time. No doubt about it. There's only one white player that I played against that I honestly think is pretty close. I still thought I was better. If he wasn't able to get away with these fake, like, reverse teleport punches away from making him safe again, I thought that was completely unacceptable. Like, he would commit to a combo string, mess up, and then do a reverse teleport punch and keep himself safe. I was like, what the fuck is that? And I also didn't like that Scorpion's forward, I forget his overhead, his flip kick. After I broke out of a combo, he would do a flip kick and put me back into it and reset the combo damage. I really didn't like that at all either. I felt like I wasted the meter to break out of a combo, and the game engine should respect my decision. I don't think that Scorpion should just, he broke out of a combo, but I don't give a fuck because I'm Scorpion and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want in the game. Even though I'm saying, this is how you know I love fighting games should be a little bit more fair in such a way, because I'm a Scorpion player and I'm still saying it. So you know, like, I'm saying the right shit. Those are the reason I say that is because a lot of high level Yoon Yang players and Akuma players, they're not, in my opinion, they're not really as good as everyone thinks they are. they're doing like a lot of dive kick pressure into like these very, you know, they're doing dive kick pressure into like basically grab pressure or like, you know, and putting opponents into like basically a coin toss, right? So basically, I wouldn't even say it's that bad. You know, if you're at the highest level, you should understand how to deal with those situations. You know what I'm saying? After dive kick, you should always block low, but you should also assume that he can go universal overhead in that situation, because universal overhead will go over your low attack. You know what I'm saying? It's a difficult situation because it's very situational. It's very situational. You know what I'm saying? It's very situational. And it puts you in a difficult situation as an opponent as well. So these are characters that I feel like that I've learned from experience as a high-level Dudley player as well. I did play Dudley in Third Strike. I was pretty dominant with Dudley as well. But that's really only because he played a lot like Ryu. So basically, like I said, the reason I say that is because as a high level Ryu player in Third Strike and just a high level Ryu player altogether, basically a lot of Shoto characters, mainly Ryu. Ryu has always been my favorite. I do love Ken as well. I do play a little Akuma in Third Strike. I'm not really that amazing with him. I do know how to win with him, but I'm not like Kara Raging Demon good. You know what I mean? Amazing. You know, I can still win, but I can win without that, is what I'm saying. You know, the reason I say that is because Yoon, Yang, and Akuma, if you parry their dive kick, the only thing I don't recommend with Ryu doing, if you do parry their dive kick, just do a regular uppercut. Do an anti-air normal. Do a regular normal that counters them, standing hard kick, anything after the parry. The reason I say that is because unless you parry a very low, like hits in the midsection dive kick, when you do the Super R2, it's not going to give you all the hits, and you're going to waste all that meter. And after you waste all that meter, and it doesn't do nearly as much damage as you thought it was going to do, now they can pressure your uppercut because if they do it correctly, at least, and you won't be able to really escape that pressure. And that pressure is some of the best in the entire game. When it comes to Yoon, especially Yoon after he activates Ganejin, especially Yang, maybe not as good as Ganejin, but Sensei Embu is very good at the highest level. Honestly, I don't see too many young players playing Sensei Embu with the exception of me at the highest level, but I still think it's amazing. I think it's pretty damn good. It's not as good as Yoon because it doesn't juggle you, but if you land one quarter circle forward punch, you landed like 40 hit combo after that. You could just keep doing that over and over and and the twins will keep hitting and it'll keep hitting over and over again. Because whatever attack you do, the twins after you hit you 2 more times. So you have 2 twins that are mimicking your attacks and your movement. So every time you land a crouching medium punch, 2 more crouching medium punch hit you. So for every 1 you land, you really land 3. So that's why it's so good, is because it essentially turns Yoon and Yang into every normal attack becomes a super. Basically, it becomes like the pressure of like a EX special move. You know what I'm saying? Like all of them. You know, but what I'm saying is this. If they do dive kick, do not parry and do Super R2. Just Super R2. The best one that works against that is Ken's Shin Ryuken. Super R2, I was the only Ken player in high level Third Strike that was actually switching to Shin Ryuken, Super R2, against Yoon, Yang, and Akuma. And that's why I was wiping my ass with almost every single high level Akuma, Yoon, and Yang player out there. is because with Ryu, I was using Shin Shoryuken 2, Super Art 2. With Ken, I was using Shin Shoryuken, Super Art 2. And with, who else? Dudley, I was using quarter circle back, cross counter. I think it's quarter circle back punch. I haven't played Dudley in a long time. I'm almost positive it's quarter circle back, half circle back punch. You could do that on reaction to their dive kick, and it will counter them every single time. And if you guys don't know about Dudley, he has a very difficult time without that against dive kick players, because his uppercut is really not that good unless it's EX. And in fact, his EX uppercut is pretty easy to parry. So he almost has to deal with the pressure. All right, I'm going to try to win now. All right, now I put myself on the spot. You guys are like, this guy's whack. Bitch, you're making me look bad. Oh my God, he missed!
Are you ready? Go.
Oh my God, the fucking AI is just dominating me, bro. Oh, that wins. That wins. That wins. That was a dumb move. I don't know why I went forward hard punch there. That's an awful move to do in that situation. The reason I say this is because I was like, you know, I know Ryu players were doing this in Super Turbo. Just basically doing crouching light kick, spin kick into grab setups or uppercut setups. And basically, it worked best in Super Turbo, no doubt about it. No doubt about it.
Now.
That should be the game. I'll just build meter because I basically won the round already. The reason I say that, you know, that is the proper way to play. Don't feel bad when players are like, oh, he's being like corny. When you have the lead, when you have the win, you sit on the lead. You sit on the win. You know, a lot of players gave a lot of they trash talk Justin Wong and stuff. Like, that was the reason why he was dominating. Because when he had the lead and he was winning, he made you come to him. You have to win. I don't have to win. I'm already winning. The clock is in my favor. I'm already winning. Why take any risk right now? You know what I'm saying? That's the proper way to play at a high level, and that's why you see a lot of high level players playing like that. Is because that is the way to play. When you play to win, that is the way to play. When you play in tournaments, if you're not playing like this and you're not using these situations to your advantage, you're not going to win at the highest level. Because one knockdown at the highest level you might lose the round. At the highest level, you can lose a round off of one knockdown that your opponent does to you. Don't think it has not happened to me. It's happened to the best players out there.
Go.
You know, if Yipes would have done that to Justin Wong when Justin Wong only had Cyclops left, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he has left. If he has Cyclops left and you have a full team, it's over for Cyclops. Let him sit in the air and build all the meter he wants. Do not take any risks. If Yipes would have done that to Justin Wong, he would have eliminated Justin Wong from the tournament. The only reason Justin Wong was able to win that is because Yipes was taking unnecessary chances. He already was winning. He could have. All he had to do was run the clock. What is Cyclops gonna do? He has to land the combo. He can't combo off of overhead. So what do? You crouch block the rest of the game. Unless you know he's coming in with a jumping attack, you crouch block everything else. He cannot combo overhead into super. He no longer has an assist. He can only combo a super off of overhead if he has assist out. And he no longer has that option available. I knew she was. The reason I did that, I know you guys are like, oh, he missed the super right there. No, I didn't. Now he has to red parry that. I'm almost positive that's a red parry right there in that situation. And a red parry in that situation is not easy to do. He's already at the point where he's going to take chip damage on that super, so he has to red parry. But guess what happens if he tries to red parry that super that I just did? It's still my turn. So what I could do is make it even harder for him and start crouch light kicking while he's trying to parry that super. I do crouch light kick in that situation. Now he has to parry down and he has to parry high. He has to parry low and he has to parry high. Otherwise he's going to lose the round. So that's one of those. Those are one of those situations where I do condone, throwing a super at an opponent that has very low chip damage. Is because you're putting them basically in a block stun situation, and they're not going to be able to special move through it. I believe they can super through that, but it's almost humanly impossible to do that. It's almost humanly impossible to do that. They can't guarantee that I'm going to do a super in that situation. I can just do crouching light kick 3 times and stop. Therefore, if they go for super to beat my super, let's say they try to do super to beat my super in anticipation, I can block their super and win the round either way. So it's a very, high, I guess you could kind of consider it low risk, high reward, basically. They're almost guaranteed to take the chip damage of the super. They have to parry it, and if they parry it, whether it's red parry or regular parry, it's still my turn, and I can make it extremely difficult for them to parry that final super. So basically, it's almost a win-win situation. These are high-level tactics that you have to install in your head. You have to install these high-level tactics if you want to win at the highest level. If you don't understand these things, then you have to start understanding these things. You have to understand it. You have to understand why that's. I'm not going to sit here and say, if I see a player super me through that, I'm going to sit here and question if he's using a programmed joystick or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And I believe at that distance, they can't even jump the super. That's why it's such a good that's why it's such a good tactic. I love that you get ready to die. Ah, I missed it. I did that is because like I said, remember the situation I just talked about. If I had to parry that super. I was low on health. I have to parry that super. If not the chip damage of the super. If you guys don't know, in Street Fighter 6, unless you have low stamina, you take no chip damage until you're drained. You know what I'm saying? If your drive meter is wasted, you start to take chip damage on special moves and supers. In these older games, you took chip damage on special moves and supers no matter what. You know what I'm saying? No matter what. So basically, to make a long story short, I had to parry that super. The only reason I've never tried that before to match right there on the spot, like when I was about to get hit. I thought I actually did it a little bit late because I second guessed it. But the reason I second guessed it, I was like, yo, I didn't know if it was going to match or it was going to beat mine. I took a chance. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm playing against the computer, but the reason I laughed is because it perfectly matched and he wasn't able to counter me. So I was happy about that because the recovery time on that is pretty long as well. So. You can actually hit him with low attacks out of the Aegis Reflector, and if he, let's say on super, let's say he has you cornered. If Urian has you cornered, and the game is on the line, if you do an EX uppercut with Ken or Ryu, let's say they commit to doing a crouching light kick, and they're also low on health. This has happened to me to win matches. They throw the Aegis Reflector to pressure me. I have to deal with that, or so they thought. I did EX uppercut, and it actually hit their crouching light kick, and I actually won the round. But after I won the round, my EX uppercut hits into the Aegis Reflector wall and hits me out of my uppercut, but I still consider winning the round. Even though it should have actually been a double KO, it's not considered a double KO because I got knocked out after I already had beaten my opponent. So what I'm saying is, a smart Urian player, first of all, I think in my opinion, even though Aegis Reflector is very good, I think at the highest level, most players know how to deal with it. Like Justin Wong was one of the best players dealing with it. You can just low parry it. You low parry the Aegis Reflector wall, because what they like to do, if you're cornered, it works whether you're cornered or they cross you over. So basically what happens is basically what happens is a lot of Urian players, the easiest way to set this up is if you have Aegis Reflector, it's the level 3 for the Urian. The easiest way to set it up is to grab your opponent with a neutral command grab. Not forward, not back, nothing. Just grab them. He'll start like holding them in the air and squeezing his head or some shit. I forget exactly what he does. It looks funny as hell. After you're done grabbing them, do the super. I believe it's light punch super. I'm not 100% sure about that. I forget which one you have to do. Depending on which punch button you press, it's going to go a further direction. So if you press hard punch, it goes way further. If you press light punch, it goes way closer. So within grab range, I believe you have to do the light punch. Don't quote me on this. I'm not a true Urian player. I just know how to do the unblockable setup. One of them anyway. Some of the more complex ones, I can't really do. I probably can learn how to do it, but I'm not a true Urian player, so I really don't care. So what I'm saying is this. It's an unblockable setup. So after you do the super and you press hard... After you do the super, when you do the super after the grab, they're going to be on the ground. You're going to do the super. As soon as the super activates, you're going to have to be charging down back. The super is going to take a few milliseconds to actually come out and cover your opponent. While that's happening, you're already charging down back. So now you have your up back. So what you're going to want to do is go down back, up back, hard punch. Now the wall is hitting your opponent on one side, and the head punch, the headbutt that you just did puts you on the opposite side of that. So now you're hitting your opponent on both sides at the same time. That's considered an unblockable. There's only 2 characters There's only two characters in Third Strike that can do this. Urien and Oro. I can do the Oro ones consistently. There's one way out of this. There's one way out of this. You can low parry the wall. You can low parry the wall. But the thing with that is there is an exception to that. If you know that they're trying to low parry and grab you out of it, they can't grab you if you're doing a crouching light kick. Because now they have to parry twice. You know what I'm saying? If you do a normal that has a long startup, like let's say, for example, a forward medium punch or into a hard punch overhead, you know, that's why it's intelligent for Urien. If you know they went for a low parry, just keep doing that light kick. Now they have to guess whether you're gonna do, you know, there's a lot of things you can do in that situation. You could keep mashing light kick. You could go one crouching light kick, which they'll parry. They can go for a grab. You know what I'm saying? But if you feel that they're always going crouching down into grab, you could just neutral jump the grab, their grab attempt, right? You could neutral jump their grab attempt, and now they're gonna either have to parry the remainder of that wall and what you're gonna do in the air. You know what I'm saying? But as far as that, if they commit to doing a grab after that crouching low parry of the wall, you know what I'm saying? If you're not pressuring them with the light kick, they basically can grab you out of like everything else, maybe with the exception of crouching jab, which they can parry high or low. But the reason I say crouching light kick is because crouching light kick, they have to parry low. So now they have to do two low parries, but it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there. You know, can they grab at any time after that? Of course they can. If they're parrying, they can grab before the startup of the next one. But the thing with that is they're still getting hit by the wall. So if they commit to doing a grab, and let's say you neutral jump that, if you neutral jump their grab, they're going to get countered by the wall and get hit by your combo on the way down, depending on how much wall is actually left, obviously. And you could essentially put them in the very same situation all over again. Because I believe he has 3 walls that he could put, 2 walls he could put out. He could store up to 2 at a time. So if you get caught in one mistake in that situation, this is what makes him such a good character. And this is why you see a lot of high-level Urien players picking Aegis Reflector. The only reason I disagree with that is because as a Urien player, you're more likely to land a universal overhead against your opponent. And guess what combos into that? The shoulder tackle that he does. I believe it's called Tyrant Slaughter. I believe it's Super Art 1, if I'm not mistaken. That's the one where he tackles you like 5 times. It looks like he's doing his back forward kick like 4 or 5 times back to back. So after you landing the universal overhead, you can combo that into super. Now explain to me this. As a Urien player, why would you think that that's not the better option? Obviously, you lose the unblockable. But do you necessarily need the unblockable to win with Urien? I don't think so. Does it work extremely well against low-level players and intermediate players? Absolutely. You'll probably dominate 90% of the Street Fighter community using these unblockable setups. But against a high-level player like Justin Wong, they're going to read that situation. They're going to go, okay, I parried the wall. He's not committing to doing a crouching light kick. I don't have to parry anymore. I can go for a grab. Because I'm going to beat out the startup of the next normal attack that they do with the grab. This is why as a Urien player, you have to go, I have to commit to doing crouching light kick after the unblockable setup. Now he has to parry a second time if he is going to parry. If you do it correctly, it's unblockable. You might mess up and they could get out of it. You know what I'm saying? If you do a true unblockable, they have to parry to get out of it. Otherwise, they're going to get comboed, and they could essentially be put in the very same situation all over again with another unblockable setup. And this is what makes Urien one of the best characters in the game. This is why RX from Japan is considered the best, you know, easily the best charge character player of all time. What he did with a joystick is ridiculous. What he did in Third Strike is absurd. If you've never seen his high-level matches, the only time I've ever seen any player he still won, but he basically almost got dominated by Pierre. I believe he was a French player who was using Remy. And if he played it a little bit smarter, he actually would have beat Remy. I mean, he would have actually beat Urien. But if Urien was a little bit smarter, he would have actually picked Super Art 1 with Urien, which has projectile invincibility, which will go through Remy's projectile and counter him. Without that, Remy's still good. Don't get me wrong, without that. But just the threat of him getting hit with that super as a counter is going to stop high-level Remy players from throwing projectiles altogether. Now, Remy without a projectile is honestly really an average character. He's not that good. With the projectile pressure, he's one of the best in the entire game. In my opinion, I still think he is the best in the entire game. Because he wipes his ass with all the other charge characters in the game. Unless they have super, they have to deal with this projectile pressure. Unless you're parrying and moving your way closer to stop him, you're basically stuck in a wall of projectiles. So these are the reasons why, a lot of players sleep on these charge characters in Third Strike, but because of charge partitioning and charge buffering, they're easily some of the most slept on characters in Third Strike. I mean, there was a Remy player that was playing Justin Wong's Chun-Li and actually, beating him successfully. You know what I'm saying? It was back and forth. He was, beating the best Chun-Li player in the world. There's only one other Chun-Li player that was better than Justin Wong's Chun-Li, and he's from Japan. His name is Nuki. Nuki. You know what I'm saying? He's considered the best Japanese player, Chun-Li player. In fact, Damdai, I believe, lost to him in Super Turbo because Chun-Li is one of the best characters in the game. I always said that. She could store her super. She can do the super motion and still use all of her attacks without kick. So, if you see if Chun-Li has super, first of all, and she's walking forward, you don't want to throw projectiles anymore. Because there's a possibility because her super has projectile invincibility. There's a lot of supers in Street Fighter that have projectile invincibility. E Honda is one of them, Chun-Li is one of them, Urien is one of them. A lot of characters have it. A lot of characters have this. You know what I'm saying? So basically, if you see Chun-Li walking forward towards you in Super Turbo, she has a full super, and she's not doing any kick attacks. She's only doing punch attacks like standing jab, crouching jab. You have to be very careful. If you do not see her doing kick attacks or just walking forward, you have to be very careful. What I recommend you doing is going for cross-ups. In that situation, go for cross-ups or just neutral jumping attacks. Because you're going to be able to counter any air-to-air that she does before she can counter you, and you'll be able to counter that stored super that she may potentially have.
To the heat of battle, go for it.
He made himself safe with that. Yo, you see that? That's so high level, though. He wasted the super. He wasted the super, kid. The AI wasted the super, kid. That's a situation right there. That's a situation right there that I would have never thrown the super if I knew that he had Super Art 1 with Urian. Because if he has Super Art 1 with Urian, he'll go through my Super Fireball, my Shinku Hadouken, and he'll go through it and counter me with the Super Art 1, the shoulder tackle. I believe it's called Tyrant Slaughter. Urian, in my opinion, is like, if you were a Sagat player, you might as well, I mean, he doesn't play like a Sagat player, but he kind of has that, like, keep you away like a Sagat player. And he's very good at it. His EX headbutt is very good. Oh my god. I'm so whack! Too close. No! Okay. I know a lot of players are like, oh, just do, you know, watch out for what. I don't care. Like, there's always a way, man. At the highest level, there's always a way. Oh my god. Oh, that might be it! Ah, you son of a bitch! Metsu Hadouken! No, that's not Metsu Hadouken. That's Go Hadouken. Because he learned from Gotetsu, right? Oh my god. I'll take that trade. The AI is like, fuck your fucking spin kick, bitch! Dog, one thing I gotta say about Capcom. If you guys were smart, that Flappy Fighters was an amazingly developed fighting game for touchscreen cell phones. If you guys were smart, you would make a deal with the developer of that game and add more characters. I would honestly prefer... They do look funny as hell as ducks and shit. But dog, that is like such a good fighting game, man. It was only on iOS. I don't know if Capcom actually played this game that I'm talking about. It's fucking amazing. There's only 3 fighting games that I thought were actually good and done well on smartphones. And I wish they would do more, actually. And in fact, I feel like they would make a lot of money with like Mortal Kombat, but they can't charge like $60. They gotta charge like 10, 20 tops. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe 20, like if it's a real good, you know, Bluetooth battle and all this shit. I can play with my boys and shit. Touchscreen, if we don't have no controllers with us, we can still play like simple mode like you could in Street Fighter 4 Volt, where like you just press forward or down and back with the SP button, which is special move button, and it'll automatically do a fireball or uppercut or a spin kick for you. And I love that you could press the when you had Super or Ultra, you just touch on your opponent's side of the screen or your side of the screen, and it'll automatically do the Ultra for you. Like, you just tap where the Ultra is. Like, you see it lighting on fire, you just tap it and it'll do it. I love that. The only thing is, I wish they would always put the super at the top by the health bar. That way, like, it's easy to just touch. Maybe make it a little bit thicker as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess without covering too much, maybe, like, I don't know, maybe make it a little transparent, but, like, still recognizable. Like, it's lighting on fire or something, even though it's transparent. You know, like, I don't know. I don't want to try to get them to reinvent. But goddamn, Flappy Fighters, man. That was like the best. I'm not going to lie. I love King of Fighters 13 for cell phones. They did an amazing job. I love Street Fighter 4 for cell phones. They did an amazing job. It was extremely difficult to beat all the challenges, all the combo trials on touchscreen, especially with E Honda. You did some real fucking hard ones, dog. Capcom, you did some real fucking hard ones with E Honda on touchscreen. That crouching light kick or crouching jab into fucking up kick and shit, that was hard as fuck, dog. But yo, Flappy Fighters, re-release that. Like, get Ed Boon and the original team that did Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 to remake, like, do a Mortal Kombat trilogy remastered. Rebalance it. Add some better overheads to it. Add some, like, easy combos, but, like, you know, add some overheads that are easily lead to damage. Add some, like, fatalities in it. Like, add some, you know, one-button fatalities for the touchscreen. You know, one-button brutalities for the touchscreen. You know what I mean? And if you guys don't know about Third Strike, and it's one of the hardest fighting games to win at the highest level. So all you guys watching me play against the computer talking shit, let me see you try playing against the computer. Get Street Fighter 30-year anniversary collection. I've been playing it ever since the PlayStation 2 collection that they did with Third Strike and Super Hyper Fighting, which some of you fighting game content creators were calling Hyper Fighting Ultra Street Fighter 2, even though it's not. Hyper Fighting is a combination of every version of Street Fighter 2 that ever existed, from the original World Warriors to, you know, Super Turbo, and you could pick any variation of that character because each character was actually different from all the rest. So, like, you guys were out there calling it Ultra Street Fighter 2, and Hyper Fighting actually is its own unique thing. But anyway, in fact, I was the only fighting game content creator that noticed that Violent Ken in Ultra Street Fighter 2 does not have the correct stance in the game. He's supposed to have, like, this little zombie stance. Like, he's like the Walking Dead and shit possessed. And you guys you went the lazy route and just switched original Ken to Violent Ken and changed his little colors, and you never gave him his proper stance in Ultra Street Fighter 2, and of course, you probably guys aren't going to either update and fix it either. You know, because Violent Ken was one of my favorite characters. In fact, it's the only reason I got SVC Chaos. You know, and the music was pretty good. The game is not bad. I'm not going to sit here and say SVC Chaos is bad. It's extremely hard to beat Akuma. And the only reason I beat Akuma at the end is because I picked Dawson, dog. I was slapping him from across the screen, dog. Holy shit, it's like SNK wants to piss people the fuck off. Their boss battles are like the hardest that I've ever done. Okay, Another thing, a lot of people consider grapplers to be very good in Street Fighter. As long as you stay, like, outside of crouching medium kick range. What I mean by that is, if the crouching medium kick can hit on block or hit, obviously if it hits, it's going to do some push block. It's going to push the opponent back. Push block. They call it push block. When you're in the corner, push block is no longer... Push block only occurs to the opponent that is not in the corner. These are things that you really should understand. Why it's important to know that is because if you do one crouching medium kick to your opponent, unless they're in the corner, the second crouching medium kick is going to miss. So if you stay in the same position as you were when you did the original crouching medium kick that was blocked, and your opponent is out, the game engine is going to automatically put your opponent outside of crouching medium kick range. So now they're only in sweep range. You get what I'm saying? So these are important facts that you have to understand why it's important to know that. But it's different in the corner. I could be, even though I don't recommend it, I could be within grab range of my opponent, do a crouching medium kick, you get push blocked, and then do another crouching medium kick, and I'm still within crouching medium kick range. So that's why it's important to know that in the corner, the rules of the game change a little bit. The same thing is happening, but you're still not out of range where normally you would be out of range. So these are these are important facts that you should understand as a player, why it's important to know these things.
Are you ready? Go.
Oh man, he grabbed me out of the startup of the standing hard. Oh my god, I did the crouching. In fact, I was the only high-level Ryu player doing standing hard punch, hard kick, target combo in Third Strike when it was first introduced, and no other Ryu player was doing this. So, you know, I don't want to hear anyone questioning my talent in fighting games. You know, I've always been, you know, a fanatic for Street Fighter. I've always been a fanatic for Mortal Kombat and Tekken as well. But I feel like I've played Street Fighter more than anything else. I love Tekken and Mortal Kombat, don't get me wrong. Mortal Kombat 1, I don't like the cameo system. I love what they were doing in Mortal Kombat 11. I thought the game was the best it's ever been. Unfortunately, there's a lot of fake fighting game content creators out there that were complaining that the game was too slow, and I think they're idiots. You know, the game is not slow. Any faster than that, and it'd be like it's not reactable. You know what I mean? So like I think they chose the right speed. I felt like it was extremely easy to keep combos going. I felt like the whole system, everything about it was exactly what it should have been the entire time. I'm upset that like they changed it so much. I'm upset that to enhance special moves in Mortal Kombat, they changed it to the block button. That changed everything for me. That made it from, I can't even do enhanced special move combos anymore. Because they changed the game so much. It's so bad. Don't ever do that. As fighting game developers, don't ever do that. Don't get players used to one thing and then do another the next time you come out with a game. You know, that's not what you should be doing as developers, man. Mama! Oh my god. If you guys don't know what I did right there, this only works on taller opponents like Hugo and Alex. Basically what I did in that situation, I basically did what, I don't know if you would call it a safe jump, empty jump uppercut. But basically what I did was like, I did a late jump kick. I did like a real late jump kick on my opponent. Now, the reason that this is risky, and I don't even honestly recommend using it, is because if they block the second instant overhead, because basically what I'm doing is I'm doing an instant overhead right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm almost convinced that even if the instant overhead hits, that I can get countered. The reason why it's good to do is only when your opponent is extremely low on health. If your opponent is extremely low on health, that instant overhead can win you the round, then I do recommend going for it. Because the reason I say that is because they're so worried about the crouching light kick pressure that they're probably almost certainly going to block low after that. So the high level tactic is that because your opponent is so fearful of getting caught with that low that will lead into super or uppercut or anything else into a combo, that after the jumping attack that they just blocked, right? Even if he goes for super, I'll be able to block his super. If you do it correctly, this is how you know you're doing it correctly. If you do the jumping attack and they try to do super to counter it and you get hit, you're doing it wrong. If you do the jumping attack and they do super and you block their super, you did it correctly. That's what they call a safe jump. In fighting game terminology, especially Street Fighter, it's called a safe jump. That means that if you do it correctly, you'll pressure your opponent, and even if they do something that should beat even your attempt at it, you'll still be able to block it. That's why they call it a safe jump. So like it looks like they can counter it, but what will happen is you'll make them waste their meter, and you'll be able to block it. And now you can counter them, and now it's your turn to act all over again. So you could even go for the same situation all over again. And considering the fact that you just recognize that they don't know how to deal with that particular situation, you can probably go for the same situation again. You know what I'm saying? Or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Do the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Basically what I did right there was I did a jumping attack, and obviously I'm playing against the AI, but I have done this on actual opponents and wiped my ass with them. So you guys could believe me if you want. You guys could not listen to what the hell I'm telling you. It's cool. I don't care either way. If there's players out there that are taking the knowledge and leveling up their game and getting better, I look forward to the one day maybe they could even beat me. I highly doubt it, but, you know, that's why I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? So basically what I did was I did a late jump kick. What happens is if they block it, you know, either way, if they do a super or a special move, I'll block theirs and I can counter them either way. If they block it, it's still my turn to act first. So what I'm doing is this only works on taller characters like Hugo. This is also a real big disadvantage on using big characters like this. Whereas instant overheads that normally do not work on any other character, now in Street Fighter 6, they're making it that it does work. Usually it works with like a jump back jab. Like I said, I only recommend doing this if you know that the next instant overhead is going to win the round. Because if it does not win the round, it's not worth it, because you are going to counter them, but guess what happens? They're going to recover faster than you, and you'll still be in the air, and they can counter you with something that does way more damage than what you did to them. So that's the reason I say, if you are going to go for those instant overheads, only do it if you feel it's going to win the rounds. Because if it does win the round, guess what? You won the round. And if it doesn't, hey, you tried, they blocked it, they did a good block, and they counter you, okay, but now they're worried about an instant overhead attempt. And now you're planting seeds in your opponent's head. That's what fighting games are all about. Part of the approach to a fighting game is planting seeds in your opponent's head. He just caught me with a late jump kick into an instant overhead, countered me, and now I'm looking stupid right now. He just got a hard knockdown, right? He just got a hard knockdown, but you saw what happened in that situation. I've caught plenty of opponents with this, especially players that use Hugo that think they're the shit, right? I catch them with the late jump kick. I catch them with the instant overhead jump kick. It counters them if they're crouch blocking. They can't stand block it. But guess what happens if they stand block it, though? I could catch him with that crouching light kick into super. So it's more dangerous, and it's more likely that I'll catch him with the crouching light kick into super at the highest level. So they almost always certainly avoid blocking the instant overhead. But what happens is with the instant overhead. When I caught him with that, you saw that he tried to counter me after I landed the instant overhead on him, and I EX uppercutted him. Because if the instant overhead does hit, I actually can beat their first attempt at a counter. So what happens is they're forced to block that. And don't get me wrong, they can count. Like let's say they do. I've never properly tested this situation against Hugo's Super R. I think it's Super R2. Yeah, Super R2, where he air grabs you with the backbreaker. I'm almost 100% positive that if they block the instant overhead and they try to catch me with the super, that it'll miss. I'm almost positive about that. But the thing is, you can do additional moves after it. What I mean by that is, let's say I do go for instant overhead. If I feel that he's going to try to do, like, he has the potential to do like a super R. First of all, if he has air grab, I wouldn't even go for that. The thing is, the way I did the safe jump, it will beat his Super R2. If he goes for Super R2, my instant overhead is going to beat out his Super 2. It's going to beat his Super R2. Because I'm doing the jump kick so early that there's the startup frames of a move, there's the active frames. The active frames is what I really got to worry about. I'm countering him at the startup of his move. He committed to doing the move, but it takes a little while before it becomes active. Active means when the move is actually hitting. You might press the button, but it'll still take 0.15 milliseconds for it to actually come out. And it'll start coming out, but it's not actually hitting until it reaches like frame 0.10 milliseconds. So even though you press the button now, it still takes your character 0.10, 0.15 milliseconds, 0.25 milliseconds to actually do what you want them to do. So even though he did do the Super R2, my instant overhead is going to beat him. Now in the later games, if he does a Super R2, his Super R2 is going to beat me. If he does the super air grab, he's going to beat me. You know what I'm saying? He's going to win. So this is a situation. I'm not going to sit here and say I've 100% tested this on every single situation. But what I'm saying is, even if I do, like let's say in this particular situation, I was already pressured. I put myself in the corner. Why would you do that against Hugo? That's his best combo potential is in the corner because I'm that good. I know I'm playing against a computer. I do that to real opponents. The reason why that's so important is because I could do that late jump kick. Let's say I put myself in the corner. I do a cross up jump kick, right? If he tries to do, you know, the block low light kick, I could do cross up, crouch and light kick, push him away a little bit with the 2 light kicks, then do a air. You know, if I catch him sleeping, I could do a cross up spin kick, push him right back into the corner. I could go jump kick, cross up right into the instant overhead. But the best part about doing the instant overhead with Ryu is that he can do an EX spin kick. So the opponent is also worried about me doing the EX spin kick. So they might not act right away. And if they give me that time, if they give me that additional time to go, oh, let me wait for him to see if he does the EX spin kick in the air. By the time they're able to counter me, I'm already away from being countered by anything that legitimately matters. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I've caught plenty of opponents with this. Like I said, these are type of situations that you could go for if you know your opponent and you know how to define what your opponent is, how they play, what you've been doing to them, what you have not been doing to them, what works and what doesn't against your opponent. These are things that high-level players have to understand. What is the purpose of this move? Why am I using it? When am I going to use it? What is the range I'm supposed to be using it at? Why am I going for this instant overhead? Am I going for this instant overhead because I heard some guy on YouTube say to do it? Or am I going into the training mode or practicing with friends and practicing the situation and understanding the intricacies of this situation? You know what I'm saying? So like that's why that situation works, because now I put them in a situation where they block the instant overhead, but I'm still first to act, even though it looks like I'm not. They block a high jumping attack. Obviously, I'm still first to act. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I'm still first to act if you do it correctly. In fact, I was one of the few, like probably the only Third Strike player that was actually using instant overheads in Third Strike. It does work against Hugo. It does work against Alex. I believe it also works on Q as well. These are tactics that I was using on high level Q, high level Alex, and high level I believe even Urien as well. The thing with Urien is that EX uppercut, you have to worry about that. With these characters that I'm mentioning, they don't really have a real strong anti-air, with the exception of Hugo's Super R2. And no, Hugo's anti-air is one of the best in the game in Third Strike, because they can't parry it. Every other anti-air in Third Strike you can parry. You cannot parry Hugo's anti-air command grab, and that's one of his biggest advantages. But you can counter it. So you might not be able to parry it, but you can counter it early on. So you can do jump away. What I mean by that is you could do instant overhead jump backs, right? And if they go for Super R2 or anti-air with Hugo, they're going to get countered. So that's why it's such a strong tool against these characters, because now you're putting them in a very difficult situation. You know what I'm saying? You're putting them in a difficult situation. I wish you could do air supers with every character in the game. That way, when you do land those instant overheads on some Marvel vs. Capcom shit, you could just land super right after that. Like, damn, like, this is making the game fucking intense now. You know what I'm saying? So look at AI Ken. Don't be surprised when I lose to AI Ken. I'm sure even Justin Wong loses to AI Ken. AI Ken, AI Ryu, AI Akuma are fucking gods. There's no other character that I fear in this game controlled by the computer more than Ken, Ryu, and Akuma, dog. In the computer's hands, they are gods. And the worst part about it is, which I wish they would change for tournaments, that you can pick the stage. The reason I say that, I'm pretty sure you can, but when you play arcade mode, which I think 30-year anniversary only allows arcade mode, I might be wrong about that, is that the second player has the advantage. The stage that the second player gets is their home stage, and I've always noticed that Capcom Japan always makes the stage of the computer opponent, which is like the second player, blend in a lot with the color of the character's skin or his outfit. Like Ryu's white outfit blends in with the background of his fucking stage on the sky and shit. And Gil blends in with the fucking bright background of that stage. And fucking Alex blends in with the background of his subway stage. And you know, like, what the fuck? And Elena blends. So it's like a huge disadvantage to the first player. And they should not allow that. For tournament play, the second player has a huge advantage. You're almost better off being the second player in Third Strike tournaments just so you could have the hometown stage selection. Am I wrong about that? Elena on her home stage is a fucking god. She's a fucking god.
The fight is ready. Engage.
He swallowed that kick. I like to win with supers. I don't care. Oh, I thought I was going to win with that chip. You got to block those. That air spin kick that he does, you got to be careful, because when he does the EX, which I don't agree with, which I don't agree with. If he does EX spin kick, it'll cross up, even in the corner. I caught plenty of players with this. I'm not going to lie. I don't think it should be in the game. Even Ryu's regular spin kick can cross up. Ken's regular spin kick can cross up if you time it correctly. Well, from what I understand, you have to be committing to doing the spin kick before they actually are considered standing. Before they're actually able to act, you can't cross them up. Even if they're rolling. I believe even if they roll back, you know how you could do the roll in Street Fighter? When you get a hard knockdown, I believe if you just press down, your character will automatically roll. That way you don't necessarily have to deal with the next jump attack pressure. You can roll and counter them with an anti-air before you have to deal with the second pressure. A lot of intermediate and low-level players, they don't understand that. And they'll allow themselves to get pressured in situations that they do not have to be pressured by.
Prepare to strike. Now.
Oh my god. Oh, I missed it. Oh, he got it. I parried that. Oh my god, yo. Yeah, that's another thing that I kind of miss is some of the knockout sounds. Just keep them in the game because they're just so good. Like Hugo, even though I think Blanca should be the one saying "Mama," because he, you know, in his ending in Street Fighter 2, like he reunites with his mom. So when he gets knocked out, it's funny to see like this monster getting knocked out and screaming out for his mom. You know, that's so funny. But it's also funny when Hugo does it in Street Fighter 4. But I feel like they're both funny. I thought Hugo's may have been even. I don't know. I think Blanca's is pretty funny, man. Hugo's was hilarious in Street Fighter 4. I'm not gonna lie. I wish they would have kept that one. Oro in Street Fighter 3, hilarious. They should have kept that one. You know, there's a lot of knockout sounds from the past that are just so good. All right, I'm probably gonna end the stream there. I'm still gonna be playing Third Strike. Like I said, I was one of the few Ryu players catching people with that instant overhead setup and dominating those characters that were using grapplers like that because they thought they were good and they're really not. You know, if you're playing grapplers, you know, if you stand outside of that crouching medium kick range, they can't even really command grab you anymore. So you don't really have to worry about. They're usually not really that good at combos. And I'd rather them have to earn a combo than get a free command grab that does probably even more damage than their combo does. So I'd rather get caught with a combo that they actually have to earn and actually have to land than them landing a command grab that takes 25%, 30% just for them doing some bullshit little twirl on the joystick. So, you know, that's my psychology of fighting games, like a little bit. I'm trying to create my own little, like Seth Killian did, like my own little commandments for Street Fighter, like the 10 commandments of Street Fighter, so that like intermediate and low level players understand and maybe can elevate their game and understand why maybe they might be losing or winning or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know, we've all been there at a point where we run into a player that just had more experience and just was an overall better player. You know, any player that says that they did not run into that situation just never had good competition to play against them. You know what I'm saying? But we all were at that point. So don't feel bad if you're losing now because, you know, later on you might be the player that no one can beat, like me. So, you know, don't feel bad. You know, we all start somewhere and we all learn, you know, differently. But if you know, anyone could learn just like anyone else and apply it to themselves and get better at anything, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna end the stream there, bro. I hope you enjoyed it.